Okay, so I want to show you guys how to make wing walls. So what I mean by wing wall, if I go draw a shape like so. Okay, so if your foundation comes along, comes out, goes back in, and let's just for argument's sake say that there is 140 millimetres. For argument's sake, let's just say that's around 700 millimetres. Okay, so that's what we consider a wing wall. So with Quickset, you can actually take your formwork all the way along and down. Because it's really narrow here, we'll probably remove the soft insulation off the back of the Quickset, which we'll show you in a later video. But this is more about showing you how to form the bases to create that shape so you can clip your formwork in. So we're just going to take a straight base like so. So if we're going to make a wing wall that's 140 millimetres, I'm going to flip that over. I'm going to hook my tape onto the bottom here, measure up, mark 70 millimetres, so half of 140, 70 millimetres, make a line, and then I can cut this on a rip saw. I can use the angle grinder, I could use a hand saw, I could use a drop saw, maybe a little bit challenging on the drop saw. A rip saw would be a good thing to use, or the angle grinder. And what we're looking at is essentially just like so, cutting that off. Okay, so now as a wing wall, so we go back to our wing wall, and then I look at this. This will create the upstand on that side, and then we'll obviously need one on this side. And to create the corners, so for a wing wall, there's two external corners, so you would need two external corner bases. So there's two external corner bases here, like so. Now, once again, I've put a line, measured over, cut 70 millimetres off that one. And then the opposite side, I've cut 70 millimetres off that one. So essentially, if I get rid of those bits, now if I sit that like that, and I start and I put this piece here like so, you can start to see the shape that I'm creating. So that's the first part of the upstand, external corner to external corner and down. So what I'll do is I'll cut the other piece up, and then I'll show you the next steps. Okay, so as you can see here, you've got the two external corner pieces which butt together. You've got your two upstands from two separate bases. Now, the way that they work is they sit nicely, just the way they're designed. That one under, that one on. Okay, looks nice and tidy. And as you can see, for my tape measure, I've got 140 millimetres. Okay, that's from the outside edge at the bottom to the outside edge at the bottom. Bearing in mind, these do tend to, the upstand does tend to tweak in. The measurement is from the bottom. So as you can see, 140 millimetres. So that creates my wing wall, but as you can see, it's not going to stay like that. Time I put my shutters in there, it's just going to pull apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our bases. So now what we've got is these flaps, these nice thin flaps. Now those flaps are only 2 mils thick, so not really enough to change the depth of this product. What I mean by that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my tape measure. I measure 140 millimetres. Okay, 140 millimetres. 140 millimetres. Basically, I've got a flap there, which is 140 millimetres wide. So if I lay that flap like so, and then we get into a little bit of plastic and we sit that on like so, sit that there, okay, and then we repeat that process, upstand, another flap right to the end. That will help stitch the whole thing together. What we're going to do, because it's so thin, it's not going to affect it. It's only 2 mils, so 2 mils is within tolerance. So we've added 2 mils to the height of this product, but just forget about that. What you're looking for is, once we get some glue, we're going to push that down, some glue, we're going to push that down, and then I've got these tiny little screws here, galvanised screws. What we're going to do is we're going to screw them through that, maybe have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then we're going to flip that over, cut the screws off with the angle grinder, and let that dry. And once that dries, it will create that wing wall. So what I'll do is I'll form that up, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, as you can see, so obviously we cut this to 140 millimetres. I've undercut these slightly so the gap is fairly normal, that's what I wanted to see. But as you can see, I've used those plastic flaps and I've created my wing wall. It's exactly how the base upstands clip together. And what I've done is I've just removed the screws. So really all the screws are doing is they're giving it a little bit of strength, but they're there to help hold it until the glue goes off. And then you've got this little bit of a flap here, which is good because you can push that flap under the bases and that gives you your wing wall. So what I'll do is I'll form up the wing wall with a formwork and we'll put that in place in the foundation that I've got on the ground, and then you'll be able to see what it looks like. Alright, so I'm just about to slip this wing wall in and then I'll show you how that goes, but basically that goes directly like that. But as I hold that there, I've got a bit of a gap in my base upstand, and that's because I've got, once again, as I've shown on early videos, I've got to get rid of that tab. So just using the angle grinder, get rid of those tabs. Okay, now we can take that wing wall, we're going to slip that under there, so that's where this piece is good. We slip that under there. And as you can see, you can imagine the formwork coming this way into our internal corner soaker. That's the internal corner soaker. We can come along here into an external corner soaker that we've talked about earlier on that sits on these upstands, around and back that way. So what I'm going to do now is form that up, and then you'll be able to have a look and see what that looks like. But essentially that is your base for a wing wall.